So I can see that you have some mechanism here, and in the specification file and the generators for generating variance. Can you give me an idea of the kind of variance that might apply in this forecasting situation?
Sure. So we already showed an example of the most common case, which is what we call a batch forecaster, one that generates forecasts for all of the locations and products that pertain to a given retailer. Some other variants on that are we might want to generate forecasts not in batch, right? Not down in the database where they're materialized and kept. We might want to generate them on demand. That is, we may just want to say, all right, well, rather than having to wait for the weekly or the nightly reforecast of everything, I might want to quickly regenerate a forecast for some particular product or some particular set of products. And I don't want to store that result in the database. I just want to get an answer. We call that on-demand forecasting.
Is this something that somebody at one of your clients might formulate as a query?
Yes, yes. In fact, in several of our clients who use this service, they have existing systems where they need to be able to get an on-demand forecast because they had traditionally integrated with other systems that did on-demand forecasting. So we have to package up a service for just that. And that service has to involve all the same algorithms that we use to do a batch forecast, but it's deployed slightly differently. So that's an example, batch versus on-demand. Another example is, as I may have alluded to previously, users, forecasters, that is the actual employees at one of our retail clients, will often want to make adjustments or do some what-if analysis by tweaking the inputs to our forecasting algorithms to try to see if they can get forecasts that look more in line with what they've seen historically. That's not used a lot, but it is something that is needed. And so the ability to do variance that will allow for user adjustments and for tweaking of inputs is another common class of variance. I think in this particular, I should say in the first application we built, the first Forecast Manager application, we built at least 8 different variants of the forecaster. And I may be missing a few. We may have made even some different ones that we've used in order to test that capability and do the accuracy assessment. So clearly you get a lot of different variants. I mean, eight's a lot, right? You wouldn't want to implement 8 of these from scratch. You'd need to do something to manage that variation.
And can you show us what an assembly spec for one of these variants might look like?
So if you look at the slide that's being depicted now, this is the Hello World assembly spec that we were looking at just a moment ago. And this is a new one, a variant that I'm calling Guten Tag Welt. It's a variant of Hello World that allows for forecast adjustment. And if you look at this assembly spec, you'll notice a couple of things. So first, it's not exactly the same as Hello World. It's got some new components, a new interface, and a new refinement. In particular, there's the mods component that implements a new interface called overrides that represent some of the adjustment overrides that a user of the system might want to make if they're tweaking the inputs to the forecasts in order to see the effects. There's also a new refinement called dampener, which allows multipliers to be dampened by these overrides. And so typically in these applications, one common adjustment scenario is to go in and allow the users to change by some percentage the multipliers that our forecaster calculated to compute uplift so that they can see its impact on the final forecasts. And so what that dampener refinement there is doing is it's applying those overrides by virtue of being parameterized by that mods component to multipliers to give us another implementation, another component that implements the multipliers interface. And we can then use that in the same 2 refinements that we saw previously in Hello World, Incur and Forecast. And
the output of this thing is the last line.
Right.
You have a batch, but it's an adjusted batch.
That's right.
Application that you built.
Exactly, exactly. And it's a different component, so we could actually put both of these in install both of these into our database if we wanted to, and then we would have a batch forecaster and a batch adjusted forecaster if we so desired.